Hey guys, I had mentioned in my Catabatic Gear video that I would do a quick video on the quilt that I was making for my wife out of Costco quilt. So I just want to do a really quick video, probably only be a few minutes. You're probably if you're prone to motion sickness, I'm just going to hold the camera and kind of show what I did. So it's not going to be very steady camera work. So if you are prone to motion sickness, I would not watch this video. But anyway, it's just a quick intro. I'd seen a bunch of people online making these videos, or making videos about making these quilts, and I wanted to see how hard it would be. I don't know how to sew really at all. I just started doing it, making my own backpacks and such, and I wanted to give this a shot. It was pretty simple. Probably took me about 4 hours total time to do, never having done it before. And I basically took 2 Costco quilts, and I got them on sale. They're normally $39 for 2. I got them for 2 for $32. And I basically took the down from one, the majority of the down from one, and shoved it into the other one. I'll kind of walk through some of the other changes I made on the quilt, and I apologize if the quality of the video is bad, but I'm not quite sure how to show you guys with the camera that I have available to me. So again, I apologize in advance if this isn't good, but I wanted to give some folks, if you're thinking about doing the same thing, some confidence that you can do it. And this whole thing cost me about $50 total, excluding the cost of a sewing machine. If you already have a sewing machine, then you can probably do this for about $50 also. And there's not a lot of skill required, maybe a little bit of patience. It actually came out pretty well. I've already got a stain on it from taking it out on trying to sleep in it one time just to see how it would do, and it did pretty well, but unfortunately you'll see in the video that there is a little bit of a stain. You shouldn't eat while you're sitting up in your sleeping bag, I guess. But anyway, hopefully it is helpful to somebody and give you some ideas of what you can do for about $50 to make a 40-ish degree quilt.
Alright guys, I'm back again here, and I'm again just going to hold the video here, and like I said in the intro, this is basically 2 Costco quilts. They have approximately 6 ounces of 700 fill down in each of them. This has a total of about 12 ounces of 700 down fill in them. What you can see is basically I created a vertical baffle design, and I basically, these come in 5-inch square baffles. You can kind of see the lines here where the old baffle was. I ripped out all the horizontal baffles to create a 70-inch long vertical baffle quilt, and I sewed in a foot box down here, and again I'll try to keep the camera as steady as I can. I basically took part of the other quilt and sewed in this foot box, and you can see here, so this is like 8 squares of another quilt's down and material sewn into the end on this side, and I'll flip the quilt over in a second. And then at the top I took 2 horizontal baffles from the other quilt, so I shoved all the down from 2 into a single baffle here to create a draft collar, and then the material that was left in the second baffle I used to create the drawstring channel, where I put a center drawstring here. So this is just a draft collar that you can kind of turn around, but the majority of the down is shoved into these top 8 baffles. You can see there's these baffles at the top. They're pretty full of down. It's really hard to tell, but it's, the down themselves, it's about 3 inches of total loft, 2.5 to 3 inches of total loft here. It is a sewn through design, so you're not gonna get into any uber cold temperatures with this, but the areas where there is down, there is actually quite a bit of down. I'm gonna flip it over here real quick. You can see up at the draft collar here, I did use some snaps. These are just cam snaps. That's pretty cheap to buy the material and stuff if you already have one from a crafting kit or something. And I just used a little bit of grow grain to add a little support here. Again, my sewing skills aren't good, so as if you zoom in, you can see that there's some pretty, problematic things here. But I pretty much just sewed the top 2 horizontal rows of the previous quilt onto the other quilt here, which is what this is. You can see this was my initial area where I made a mistake, and this was supposed to be my draft collar channel, and I moved it to the opposite side over here. And then because this was for my wife and she's used to a sleeping bag, I sewed in a zipper. You can see runs all the way down to here. It's about 2/3 of the way down. Again, the zipper ends about right here. And then this is just a sewn in foot box right here. This is all solid. There's no opening at all. So it's kind of a quasi sleeping bag quilt. But it does unzip, all the way down to here. So you could lay it out with a solid foot box. The whole thing together weighs about 23 ounces. And from bottom to very top of the draft collar is about 72 inches. I'm about 6'1.5" or so. It comes up when I have my feet in it all the way shoved down to the bottom of the draft. It comes out to just the top of my shoulders. For my wife, it actually covers all the way to her head. So the numbers don't quite add up quite right, because it's supposed to be about 72 inches long. I think it's honestly closer to probably 68 inches long, if I had to guess. I haven't actually measured it, but it's a perfect size for my wife. The other comment I'm going to make is these bottom 4 baffles right here, the 2 on either side of the zipper, I did not add any extra down fill. So this is just the standard fill that came with the original down quilt. Of course, taking out the horizontal baffles that I did. And the reason I did that is because why add the extra down here? Because this is the place that she's going to be sleeping on. So the side that she's actually going to be needing the down is pretty darn full of down. You can see, how curved these baffles here are. And again, sewn through, so there's going to be cold spots. You're not going to want to take this down to, probably below 40. And anyway, that's about it. I don't have much else to say about it. Hopefully somebody found this helpful. If I have any more comments, I'll add them to the very end if there's something I thought I forgot. Talk to you later.
All right, I thought of a couple things that I forgot to mention in the video. So if you've made it to this far in the video, congratulations. You've probably made it further in any video I've ever made. The way I got the down in is the side where the draft collar was. I basically ripped out all the stitching on this side to basically open up the entire side of the vertical baffle, because this whole side was going to be sewn and covered up with the draft collar anyway. Ripped that entire thing out except the end 2 baffles on either side, because I wasn't going to add down to those. And I just manually shoved the down in. If you've ever worked with down, it's a pain. Expect to get messy. I would do it in an enclosed area like a bathroom. Specifically, get in your bathtub if your bathtub is clean and dry. That way, if there's any down floating around, if it falls into the bathtub, and it's easier to get out and suck up or whatever. I used the paper towel roll method. You basically pull the down out of one, shove it into a paper towel, and then put the paper towel roll into the other baffle. And if you're lucky, you can blow it through. If you're not lucky, you can stick like a wooden spoon or something through it to shove it in. It's a pain. For a simple project like this, I wouldn't do anything fancy like trying to create your own, down distributing thing. You can find videos on that. I have not done that. I've just used my hand method or the paper towel roll method. But the down piece is probably the most complex piece of this whole thing, because you gotta figure out how to rip it and then sew it back up again. Everything else, if I had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as difficulty, it's like a 3. Again, I don't sew, so to be able to do this on the first go and actually have a usable quilt out of it that's not just falling apart at the seams is pretty good. The one recommendation I will have also is this material frays like crazy. Like, the only material I've ever seen that frays even worse than this is some of the Joann's, like, fake Cordura stuff frays pretty bad, like nylon, fabric. If you have access to one, using a hot knife to cut this stuff, I would recommend that pretty highly. If you don't have access to that, you can use something that's called Fray Check. That stuff works relatively well. It's just kind of messy and a pain to use. So if you have access to a hot knife, even if you have access to like a soldering iron, some soldering irons will get hot enough. I've got a Dremel soldering iron that works pretty well, and it gets up to about 1500 degrees, can actually cut through most of these kind of nylon and polyester fabrics that this is. The material on these down quilts is a 20D nylon material, so it's pretty lightweight and pretty soft. But that's one other recommendation is it frays a lot, and you're going to want to do something to kind of treat the edges to keep it from fraying if you can. Otherwise, it's just not going to last. The seams are going to rip out on you. I think that's about it. If you have any questions or you want any other pictures, feel free to ask, and I can take a couple pictures and throw them up on my Instagram for a few days and send a link back in the comments. Outside of that, good luck, and I definitely think anyone out there that has a sewing machine and access to these two of these quilts can build one of these.